Welcome back to another Luso Overland video. In this video, I'm going to take off this door panel, and I'm also going to replace the window regulator and motor assembly. This is a Gen 3 Montero, so this video is going to apply to 2001 to 2006 Monteros. I have the window down. I just disconnected the negative battery cable. Just because anytime we're unplugging any kind of electrical wire harnesses, I like to have the battery unplugged, just less chance of shorting anything out. So with that done, first thing I'm going to do is take off this master window switch panel. Just got a plastic pry tool that I need to get underneath it. And as I get underneath it, I'm kind of pushing in towards the switch. There's some retainer there that you might be able to hit. So then I'll do the same thing on the back side. It's just a, there it goes. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take off the side screws. These are normally covered with a little plastic cap to make them a little more aesthetically pleasing. So you just take a flathead screwdriver, pop that cap, that protective cap over, off, and then you just unscrew them. And then there would be another one right here. This car is missing it, the same exact thing. Okay, next we need to remove this padded armrest cover. So coming back in with the plastic pry tools, it just pops straight off. There's these 3 plastic retainers. As you can see, 2 of them came off with the pad. One of them stayed behind in there. So once we get the panel off, I need to remember to grab that, stick it back on its mount for when we reinstall this cover. Now this cover, removing this is essential because there's a screw right here that needs to be removed. I've seen a lot of Monteros, including this one when I bought it, that this handle is busted, and it's because people don't know that this screw is here, and so they yank on this thing to try and get the panel off, and it just ends up busting this handle. There we go. Okay, so now we've come to the most annoying part of the job, and that is removing this interior door handle trim bezel. Let me see, I have an extra one here. I can kind of illustrate how it attaches. On the inside, there's these plastic holes. That's gonna have like a little pin, a little plastic piece kind of retaining it. But the main place where it's attaching is with this metal clip. So you need to kind of come in from the outside, push down on that metal clip so you can pop the top of it out from the door panel. And once you do that, there's this piece of wire that's tucked down, and then once the top is off, you'll just kind of be able to snake it out, like lift it out like that. But these things are kind of annoying. I have sometimes just yanked the whole panel off without removing these, and they kind of just fling off, but you do risk damaging some of those plastic kind of top connectors that way, but I have done it. Okay, so yeah, basically I just reached in with this little screwdriver and depressed down on that metal clip. That allowed the top to come out, and then I just snaked the whole thing out. So that is it. That is attaching the door panel to the door outside of plastic push pins on the other side. You can remove this tweeter cover. It just pulls right off, but you don't necessarily have to. But as you can see, it just pops right off. Just has a clip right here and some clips right here. So we'll do that. And then the only thing I need to do is pull this out. I'm going to go ahead and pull from the bottom first, kind of firmly like that. And then you can lift the door panel up, and normally you would have a light connector. It looks like mine was already disconnected, but that is normally going to be right here. And then you'll just squeeze that wire harness to disconnect that, and that will be your door panel. You can see all the different like white clips that go around the edge. One of them stayed here, so I'll need to grab that with just like a trim removal tool. This one's kind of crumbling on me, which is not uncommon given their age. So I might replace that one. Cool, and that's it. So now to get access to the window motor and regulator assembly, I need to pull back this moisture barrier. It's just a sheet of plastic with this butyl rope. Yours, you know, the plastic might be all crinkly, dried out from age, in which case, you know, if you end up having to, if it breaks, it tears, you can patch it with HVAC tape. Works really good for that. And you can always just, you know, if you end up needing to replace it, you can buy rolls of this butyl rubber strip on Amazon and just, you know, sheet of like the thickest mil plastic that you can get. But it's also not the end of the world if you're missing this thing. It just kind of keeps dust and moisture out of the internal components. But it's not the end of the world. So yeah, this for me is peeling back nicely. I'm gonna take these two screws out right here. This is what holds what the armrest screw goes into, but it's gonna allow me to pull the piece of plastic back farther with that out of the way, like this. So you can see my window is down, there's the glass. We have a bolt down here, two of them down here at the bottom of the window regulator. And then we've got two of them right up here at the very top. And so I can probably get that with a box wrench, that one on the inside, or I could also pull these two screws out here out of this bracket, and that would again allow me to just pull this plastic back a little farther. This bracket does have an orientation. It slopes at an angle like this, not like this with an up orientation. It's got a downward slant on it. Okay, there we go. That gives me enough access to get to this bolt. This foam can be kind of crumbly too, so I'm just being kind of gentle with that. All right. Okay, so there are two screws at the very bottom of the regulator that hold the glass to the regulator. So what I want to do right now is free the glass from the regulator. But I can't quite get to those screws. I mean, I could if I had like a right angle screwdriver, ratcheting screwdriver, but an easier way is I'm just going to reconnect the window switch onto the door, and then I'm going to reconnect my negative battery cable. And I'm just going to roll that window up a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring the window all the way up until those screws are right in line with these two holes. And so, yeah, you could definitely start with this job where the window's up all the way. I just happen to have it down, so that's why I started like that. So now that these are right here, I can remove those screws. But before I do so, I kind of just want the glass out of the way completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some duct tape. And I'm going to tape the glass onto the door so that when I remove the window regulator, which is the only thing holding the glass up at the moment, the glass isn't going to fall. It's just going to stay up here. So let me show you what I did there real quick. So you see? I just put some duct tape holding the window like that. And I'll probably put another piece. Okay. Now I'm going to remove those two screws. This will completely remove the attachment from regulator to glass. Okay, so there's one down there that I gotta fish out. There it is. Okay. Now all we have to do is unbolt some stuff. The regulator is held in by 4 10mm bolts, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. And then the motor has a hidden screw right here. It's also a 10mm. And that one is gray, whereas the ones for the window regulator, in case you're wondering, they're all the brass colored ones. Okay, so regulator and motor assembly are free except for a wiring harness. Remember, I plugged the negative battery cable back in, and again, I just like to always have that disconnected when I start messing with wire harnesses. Most of the time you'll be fine, but I have shorted out a few things in my time. So we've got one wire harness on this regulate on the motor, I should say. I need some help. This one's tight. I might need to squeeze it with a screwdriver while pulling it back. There we go. And you can see the assembly comes right out. So here's the original one on the left. Here's the new aftermarket ones over at Luso Overland.com that we're going to be installing. They are side and position specific. So front driver is a part number and it's different than front passenger, and same thing for second row window on the driver's side versus the passenger side. Installation is going to be pretty much the same thing, but in reverse. Before you do this, you can compare it to your old one. Make sure that this sled is at the same height on the one you took out. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect it to the wire harness, and now I'll be able to make that sled go up. Okay, reconnect the battery. Move that up about there. And kind of compare it to the old one to see how high I was. Maybe a little smidge right there. I think that'll work. Okay, let's try that now. Slide that in, turn it up. And I've got to feed the sled to match up with the holes. Oh, it's looking perfect. So let's see. There we go. This little thing hanging down in my face right here is kind of annoying. I should put a piece of tape on it to keep it out of my way. But the point is, once I get in a good spot, I can now start a screw right there to hold it. I think I'll put one screw in up here right now. Okay, now I can use the screws to reattach the sled that the window rides on to the window. And you might have to move the sled up, bump it up just a little bit, or you might need to push on the glass, because we're basically having to like recreate the same situation that we had when we took the old one out. Okay, so my glass is reconnected to the sled, and I've only got a few more bolts to fit in, including that gray motor bolt. There we go. Okay, so I got everything lined up. I was running into some difficulty getting the last bolt in what I just did is I took the duct tape off the window and I just moved the window down a little bit. So there's like ½ an inch. The window's open by about ½ an inch. And what that did is it took the pressure off the regulator, and now I'm able to move it around up and down more freely so I can get that hole to line up. So I can get the last bolt in. There we go. And that is how you replace a window regulator and motor assembly in a Gen 3 Montero. All that's left to do, of course, is put this back, reinstall the door panel, which is the exact opposite as taking it off. I hope that helped you guys out. This is Marco from Luso Overland. You can find this window regulator motor assembly at lusooverland.com. And I'll see you in the next one.